Soul Productions present Street Topics, and you don't want to get caught slipping. You don't know what topics they're going to serve you, from current events to politics, for topics that they don't even want to talk about. From old school
When we run out
remedies.
of medicine, grandma have our remedies. But I'm not gonna lie. One remedy that I wish I could remember exactly what she had, but she mixed them together. And when by the time I got through with that, I must have been the most drunk. I felt drunk. I know I didn't understand what drunk, but now I look back.
Heated topics causing disagreements.
Negative, because that's what all of y'all like. It's just very heavy and negative.
Well,
so
you
we're
need to go
all
get
okay
on
to have
another
emotional
show.
conversations when we're just bashing each other.
On another show. We ain't negative, woman, girl.
No matter how heated the conversation may get, these gentlemen always come back together with solutions.
Better than this. You got to learn how to respect each other. Respect each other's differences. We're not supposed to all think.
What's up? It's another episode of Street Topics, and as always, we keep it raw, fresh, and hitting the high controversy topics that y'all are afraid to talk about, but we're not. We're bringing the barbershop, the hair salon, the hood. No, it don't matter where you at. The things that you were talking about, afraid to talk about, we bring it to front stage. But I'm not here by myself. I have the one and only Baker with me. How you feeling as he gets his glasses on? Cool guy over there.
I'm in good shape. I'm in good shape. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm living fantastic. It's another day of the living, another day to talk some noise and speak our truth on Street Topics. That's what it's all about. All right, so have you heard about this principle? Well, we already know that education is in high controversy as it is, and you got these parents trying to babysit and not act like their students are all innocent when we know they're not. But have you heard something? Because I'm going to play a clip in a minute. What you heard so far before I play it?
Well, I ain't heard nothing, but I read something.
You read something.
Everything come across social media don't catch my attention unless it's somebody pointed out. But I'm ready to roll on it. I know what's going on.
All right, so with that said, let's go ahead and get things ready so we can watch the video of what all pretty much happened and went in the store. Let's roll the clip, as they say.
Beautiful bean footage.
Hi, Anthony. Are you unaware that your principals also have social media? You know what? I'm not even going to blame you because you're not the one who posted this. Your best friend did. And guess where it ended up? On my For You page. First of all, pull your pants up. I tell you every day no one wants to see your underwear. Secondly, when you ask to go to the restroom, you need to go straight there and head right on back to class. You went and you used someone else's lunch number. Yeah, you didn't think I would notice. You used someone else's lunch number in order to get 2 lunches, and that student didn't get to have lunch that day. That is completely unacceptable. And lastly, I saw that Omar and Brandon were also on their phones, so guess what? All 3 of you will receive a pass to my office tomorrow. And one more thing, Mr. Cook, how did you not notice that your student was out of class for 30 minutes? You too will receive a pass to my office tomorrow. Desmond, didn't you say you couldn't participate in PE because you had a doctor's note, yet here you are practicing death drops in the hallway after PE class? Not only that, but the last time you did this, you landed on Mr. Cook and you both ended up in the nurse's office with an ice pack. And your parents came screaming at me. I guess you thought you would have gotten away with this because you're not the one who posted it. Mr. Cook did. So you and Mr. Cook will receive a pass to my office tomorrow. Hey, Mr. Knickerbocker, I like the way that you rockity rock. Hey, Mr. Knickerbocker, I like the way that you rockity rock. Zariah, Edgar, and Mason. You know what? It amazes me how many people don't realize their principals also have TikTok, because guess what popped up on my For You page? You seniors skipping class during the kindergartners' nap time. Also, little Mia told us that you all offered her pixie sticks to be a part of this video. When last time, Edgar, you thought it was a good idea to give kindergartners Takis, and we all know how that turned out. All of you know that what you did was strictly against school policy. And before you say anything, Mr. Cook has already confirmed that he did not give any of you permission to go over to the kindergarten wing. So Zariah, Edgar, Mason, and little Mia, all 4 of you will receive a pass to my office tomorrow. On second thought, Mr. Cook, why didn't you call the front office when you realized your students were gone for more than 15 minutes? You of all people know exactly how to call the front office. So Mr. Cook, you too will be receiving a pass to my office tomorrow. As most of you can tell, I've not posted very much principal content.
Okay, so before you speak, Baker, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't even see the video at first. I saw the headlines, but it's gonna throw some people off. But after hearing what she said, I don't really find too much fault into it. I really don't. Now, of course, she blasts on social media. People are sensitive about that. But everything that she was stating, from like the students being out longer than the period of the time, taking advantage, stealing passes, teachers not being accountable or paying attention and should have like notified the front office and all that. She's basically saying like everything that the students and the teachers should have been doing to address these issues. And so it makes me even puzzled now, like why are people so mad when she was doing her job? She did it on social media. I feel like what happened was like the parents of the kids got embarrassed, but at the same time, there's so much going on social media where you have kids and parents trying to blast educators, and we know that education is at a turmoil as it is. But when we put into a state of accountability, it's an issue. But I'm gonna stop there and let you speak because I know you just saw what I just saw.
Well, my question to you to bring me up to centuries. What is a lunch number?
So lunch number, every school is different. It's like your pass sort of tell you like what lunches you should be taking and things. Sometimes like letter A, B, C, or D. Sometimes they do it by a number. Every school is different. And go ahead. But that answers your question, what you were asking about. Like it's what lunch they should be taking. But apparently the child took a lunch pass that wasn't his, another student's, and stayed out longer than what was supposed to be like a restroom break or whatever, and basically made it a field trip.
Well, you took it to a person from a different generation. And in a sense, I understand the educational department. I'm biased towards the industry because I have family members in it. But I do understand one thing. It ain't what it used to be. I recall a lunch number and a pass at some point.
Y'all probably had those old school pass, like wooden pass or something like that. But like, hey, I need to go over here. Like, here's your pass. Go.
Well, I think let's call it. We didn't have the privilege that's afforded to this old snowflake generation that melted. Doggone pass. You raise your hand to go use the restroom. You raise your hand to answer a question. You raise your hand to do it. And because this new generation has become so privileged, and it didn't happen last night.
Yeah, it's something that's been going on for
20 years ago. I discovered I didn't know the kids no longer have to ask a question or ask, can they go to the restroom? We have lost respect.
See, but let me say something real quick. That is the biggest difference where it is to now. I would say respect. And this is not just coming from me. If you ask any educators, especially in the field now, they will say my majority, the respect is not there for educators today. It's gone.
The parents expect a lot and don't give back to the system to celebrate. As well as we celebrate militaries, people in the military rather. Mm-hmm. We celebrate law enforcement. We celebrate religion.
Right.
And we celebrate teachers, but it's on the down low and quiet.
It really is.
And you
And
send little Ray Ray to school.
not little Ray Ray.
Oh, well, okay, Pookie.
Yeah. You ain't got no sense.
And you know he ain't right. Now, if you look it up, I got it all. Where a elementary student took a pistol to school today.
That's getting out of hand.
So my
That's out of
point
hand.
is, who is this principal chastising? Now you got to watch that. It's loaded.
Right.
Who is she trying to chastise? The students or the parents in a roundabout way? Because I'm going to tell you, the students don't give up.
They really don't.
All right. Now, there's a lot of, I get it. I think violation of privilege. How about that?
Violation of like, what do you mean? Like, go a little bit more in depth in that. You said violation of privilege.
Well, if the principal was checking the student, right?
Okay.
Am I right, Chris?
Yeah, the principal was checking the student and the teacher as well, because apparently we know the student was out of hand, but also the teacher wasn't doing what he or she should have been doing by following procedures.
Chris, you can't put your hands on Ray Ray and Pookie.
Oh, we know that. We
Okay,
definitely know.
so the principal, in a roundabout way, is trying to chastise, I'm assuming, this child kid. But listen, we know you're resident on social media. And they're trying to chastise. Now, understand something. I don't think the teacher got involved because the situation, Chris, I discovered some years ago, kids can get up and go at will to the
It's completely different. So
it's
that's
different.
It's way different. Like that's
you
why I
either
was.
pee on yourself or get permission.
That is definitely not how it is today. And like that's why I said respect and procedure was well more followed back then. Now you have more teenagers, and this is why I have my show that feel like they're a lot more entitled. And then on top of that, it's like educators, or front admin or something like are afraid to enforce some. It gets very political at times, and it's a very sensitive subject matter when it comes down to this. And so it's like, what does that say about our education in general? So it's like, what messages are we sending? Is it okay for students to continue to act like this? Like, do we want future educators from college? Because what the biggest problem is when it comes down to when they see this all spread all throughout the internet. And we all seen where you have students fight educators. It makes them not even want to go into it.
So, Chris, for people who are in the industry and understand the dynamics of it, what do you do in a situation? Do you make an adjustment and make a chastisement rule, or do you ignore it?
Let me speak on that. It's very challenging, and it's almost like, I hate to say, it's like walking on eggshells, because it's so complex. Because of course you have school policies that should be enforced, but then you have like the community and the parent aspect, and then what their theories or their thoughts of like how the school should be run. And we all know as well as anyone else, depending on the environment or how society is, if they don't like the way policies is and then they follow the trends, it puts the school in a bad situation. And schools make money by having kids in the chair for attendance, and then parents can be like, oh, I'm not taking my child to this school, and it makes it very political. And then we have like you said, the entitlement thing with the kids. Now, let's be honest, and I know a lot of people hate to say this, but parents are not really doing what they're supposed to do at home, and it forces educators to pretty much take the role of multiple roles, such as now the educator has to teach, has to be the parent, the mentor, and a lot of different aspects. But when their child gets out of line, you don't want them to address and discipline or correct. When you actually, it becomes like, okay, what are you really saying? It's like let's be honest, like students are spending more times in the face of educators than at home nowadays. Most of their parents are at work. That's another element to itself.
So with that said, Chris, the last question is very vital. The teachers and the faculty, the schools, all that foolishness, not foolishness, but what it is just teachers, principals spend more time with the students in the few hours a day they have than the parents when they get home, because soon they get home, they throw them their musty clothes to the side.
What you said, musty clothes, you wild.
And they get on social media for another 3 to 4 hours, if not longer, and mama and daddy, or mama, or just daddy, or auntie, the grandma don't have a clue. And they could trick you nowadays and have an earplug in their ear and be showing a screen of studying. I know you're right. And they be on the Snapchat, Get Back, and all that other stuff. I get it. The educational system is being used by social media to further this wicked agenda of this generation.
And it's a completely whole nother ball game because when I have
Chris,
that element.
why that principal got online and didn't get on the letter and email the parent?
That is one thing.
My opinion.
Yeah, go ahead, because that's where I think she made her mistake at. But go ahead, state your opinion.
It's just that there has to be some level of responsibility applied to both ends of the spectrum.
I agree.
And with that said, if we don't understand this generation, we cannot serve this generation, Chris. Now, I'm a little torn as to how the discipline, or whatever you want to call it, was done. It's an agenda. Now, one question I was going to pose to you, at first, I had no clue that this principal was actually behaving the way she did.
Yeah, like it was my first time seeing the video too.
Wow. Maybe some of these ex-baby mamas that was on this show.
Oh man, let me ring the bell.
Children, they ought to get on there and say something. Now, I find it strange that every time there's a very topic that's very controversial, the baby mamas and all these other old ragged women that been on both of all these shows, they don't show. Where are they?
That is a very good point.
Your business 6-figure income trying to do self. And Ray and Pookie and Shanika and Mary's out cutting up at these schools and tricking the teachers to act like they're going pee. Now, what if there's a real emergency and the teacher denied a request and lawsuits are slapping left and right because Ray, Pookie, and Mary had a medical emergency? Both ends of this really need to review. Trust me. I know I'm from many generations. And being at the age of 28 years old, I do know something.
That part, he stands on it. So it makes me ask this question too, and then I'm back and forth in my own head. So what's the real problem? Is it the actual child or is it the parent?
Place responsibility where it should be lied.
And what do you
Lay
think?
it where it needs to go. The child learned to manipulate the system, and the principal did so too. If you're going to check somebody, there's a difference between an open letter and a sealed letter.
You gotta know how to teach us, Baker. Go. What you mean by that?
I ain't but 28, man. I'm trying to learn. And an open letter is just open. A sealed letter represents a level of confidentiality. With that said, I'm not blaming either party yet because both parties are responsible. And
I
if
would
the
say that.
teachers is leadership, they ought to have established some type of understanding and bond. Students and people in life will check you when they think they can check you and get away.
For
They
every
check you.
action, if there is a reaction. Is what
And
I'm
then
seeing.
they test the water.
And they don't think they're gonna get a reaction and to be surprised when it actually happens.
So I would say something to the effect, let the chips fall where they may. And oh, Chris, I was going to say to you, this. At first, and maybe you could look at some of the video game which you just showed. I was thinking, is this real? Is this deep fake? Or is this real, real, real? Because it leaves me with a level of trying to understand. Well, that is like going to the buffet at the Golden Corral and you paid to eat, but then you start putting aluminum foil in the bottom of your Gucci purses to take food from the buffet.
You get it. That skin on his head.
I know. Listen,
Sound alarm. Oh,
so
man.
it's crazy to think that it happened, which I understand it does happen. But on the other hand, what level is this? That person look young and beautiful.
Oh shit! Don't you go left field on me.
Okay. Now, I may handle a little checking from them.
See, you acting up already.
Tell you, watch out there now. Tell me what to do.
You better watch out for Bacon Bacon act. I'm trying to find this principal. Lord have mercy.
Now, I ain't gonna try to find them. But I'm trying to understand more of the behavior of this children.
If I could pitch my opinion, I think what's going on nowadays is like students or the young generation in general. I think it goes beyond this because I feel like it all starts at home. But it's like this generation feels like they can't be touched. And it's like parents are afraid to discipline or put some kind of course of action for a recourse for doing things of wrong. It's like, and it was even, I'm going to add this to the show too, is like nowadays, it's like you have students basically taking the head of household. Like it's just a strange thing nowadays when, let's say something happens in the classroom and you're expecting to talk to a parent and now all of a sudden the exact student you were trying to call about is picking up the phone acting as if they were the head of the household. And I think,
so Chris, what do you do? Okay, do you
and that's
not?
it. Well, I think when it comes in that situation, the most you can do is just document and then like try to address the best way you can in the classroom. But it's a huge issue in that core. There's a problem at the household, and you know, as educators, you can only do so much because you can't overstep boundaries. Because if you do that, then it's going to be taken to a whole nother level.
So my thing is, Chris, where do we place the responsibility to both parties?
In this situation, I would say both. The people I think is at fault. I begin with the parents because how that child acts. I guess I take the old school thing where they say a child is a reflection of who you are. So how that child is acting, it must be something coming from home. Because let's say if you had great parents that had some great foundation, they wouldn't be doing stunts like that. Because they'd be like, I don't want to shame or embarrass. Or I don't want to know my parents gonna come up here and check me because they know I'm better than that.
But
And
they
then
don't do that anymore.
That's
don't. Old school.
That's old school, but that's more people at fault too. So that's one. That's why I'm saying it's multiple. Whoever was the teacher didn't do their role because they could have been let them affirm and then send them communication to find the student, which could have helped us a lot more resolve. And then at the same time, I do get what the principal did by blasting, but at the same time, that wasn't the right course of action because even though like when she stated that, oh, it came up on my feed, yes, what she should have did as a principal, especially because, like, you know, when it comes to leadership, especially at these schools, you got to be careful how you address certain things. She should have just either called the both the student and the teacher up, or made some kind of meeting and said, like, hey, I saw this on my feed document, and address it that way. I think what she was trying to do was prove a point. There's an issue that's not only in this school but for everybody else. But the way that she did it, you know, it put the student on blast, which definitely happened. It made awareness of that. But I guarantee what happened
But is
is
that the proper way?
it's not. It's not, but it made awareness. We do know of the issue. That's why I said it'd been better if she would have addressed it more privately and contact the parents. But it brought awareness. But it was the right way? I would say no. So the principal has fault for her course of action of addressing it. So a lot of people are at fault for this. But what I find interesting when I look in the comments is how people are basically defending like the student, like the student didn't do anything. That shocks me, and it makes me feel sad, because it's like, when are we going to ever hold the students accountable for their actions? Like, if we want the students to become future leaders or be great in success and much more, we need to do our part at home and in the school. Because if not, life is going to happen, and life don't care. Or let me be frankly honest, life don't give a damn.
So
And
what do we do? What do we do? Just ignore this behavior on both parts, or do we adjust our parameters to fit this culture? I don't get it.
we got to be more firm. I would be like, if it was my school, I'd be like more firm and stuff. But you know, this generation wants to be soft, and they're so afraid to step on people's toes, and it gets political.
No, for so if that's the case, herein lies the truth behind this snowflake generation, this culture, is that they're going to take authority from those that are in authority, bucking the system, abusing privilege, DEI, affirmative action, and the rest of these set aside. Chris, this generation is from a generation, this new generation is do things from a privilege standpoint and because nobody bothers them.
Or
I say to them,
they're afraid to, because it's like the child is threatening the parents, which I don't understand that. I would never let
because,
that.
you know, you ain't gonna get me to hate and date myself. When we was at school, we would be afraid to go home and find out the parents that found out.
True, that's how I was. I mean, I wish I would bring a bad grade or act up. The only time my parents would defend me is, let's say somebody else calls a course of action towards me. Then my parents be like, defend yourself. Like, you ain't gonna let nobody pretty much put a whooping on you. Defend yourself, do what you need to do, and then I address the school. But don't go to that school and cause no issues, because then I'm gonna show up.
So how without saying everybody in industry, because I know everybody got education.
Right.
People in education, it's their family. But there's a level of concern that needs to take action here.
There definitely
Chris,
is.
can you help the old man? Where did this state and city did this happen? Don't tell me California. California's not real.
You just like Terrell. By the way, Terrell out the country, but yeah, you like. Let me try to dig in to find it real quick.
Yeah, because what happens is, I want to find something here. These students, they understand what privilege they have. Nobody is there to check them, Chris, and discipline these kids. Now, I'm not saying that's the job of the teacher, but there's a job that the teacher should recognize that she's in authority and have a place, or the principal rather, of responsibility. Right. Now, I don't know. I'm old school, and there's a lot of responsibility that needs to be put in. Now, I do have a problem with the principal. What if these people job other restaurants, get on there and check their employees? There's a level, I guess, I'm just confused about.
True.
A chain of command and how you handle things. Now, What if that kid, Chris, off hours, get on social media and cuts the principal, or the authorities, everybody. You get it?
Yeah.
So, what state and city is that in America?
It is in America, and like I'm trying to find the state and city, but they keeping like the information like really broad. They don't want to.
Well, I understand why.
Probably for privacy.
Well, and then the privacy, the principal got on there, right, and said what she wanted to say.
Right.
That's what my
I'm
point.
looking.
There's no
I'm looking.
sense. Why she didn't go snatch the kid? Apparently, Chris, this wasn't the first time.
Hey, clearly not. I mean,
Okay.
Chris, come on now.
Because if this was the first time, there was no need for the principal's
I mean,
reaction.
she even stated for even one of the other students that they had acted or said like, "Oh, I had this issue when I got the nurse spasm," but then the student was like, made a TikTok video and fell on the ground. I think it was just the fact it was also like multiple students. I,
Oh,
Yeah, because like it was more than one child. I think what really got her. I mean, one. I don't think would have made headlines if it was just one child. I think it was the fact that it was multiple kids that were basically put in the spotlight. And I guarantee what happened was like all those parents probably combined together and made like this principal needs to be fired when they were just outraged about it. And this is why it's like a viral topic today, which it brought light to an issue which is happening in schools. Like we say all the time, and even different episodes, that the education in America is a mockery. And I say that is because if you look at different countries, educators are more respected. The way they are, their performances on different subject matters are much more way higher. And it's because they respect the educators. They look at the educators as role models. They want to like see them. They applaud their educators because they contribute so much into society. And then you come here to America, it's like the educators are treated as a joke. They're not paid like they're supposed to. They should get paid more, especially like when educators get paid multiple roles. Now, I do know there's different schools that pay a good amount to educators, so I had to put that point in there too. So I do know not all educators are broke, and then some different schools get paid well, depending on the district. But like educators in general in America as a whole is not respected as it needs to be. And I think that's what causes friction between students, because if students actually looked up to educators in a higher regard, they would have a lot more respect, because they'd be like, okay, this is a role model. They get paid higher. They get different kind of roles. They contribute to the society. We wouldn't have this issue. Like they really wouldn't. And then you have more people wanting to be educators. And I guarantee you if that was the case, our performances in schools would be a lot more better. But that's not the case. I think in America, we highlight and put other things as role models. And the main thing that's actually teaching our students, we treat as mockery. So what do you expect?
well, one thing you said, if memory serves me, if you go look in Houston, Texas, I think the Fort Houston, Texas, Houston Chronicle, I noticed today, not understanding, knowing the topic, a article is in the newspaper in reference to Houston, Texas, one of the big districts has an issue or something.
Talking about HISD?
Yeah, dumb ISD. Okay,
Baker, really?
now each district is better served in a sense, supposedly, by the taxpayers' dollars. The issue becomes, as you said, different areas and different sides of town where, Chris, that is driven by taxpayer dollars. And at the end of the day, we ought to say something.
We should.
Private schools, I'm for.
And actually,
Public schools, I'm against.
at
Because
the way that,
private schools get good education, because the parents have got some tangible every week, month, literally coming out of their pocket versus.
I was just about to get it, because I was about to use a term, they got skin in the game. So yeah, they're going to care about the
All right,
education.
now, listen. We pay taxes on home where our kids don't go to school. That we move to suburbs Nowadays, where it's always been the case, I guess, when people today buy a home, first thing they want to know is what kind of school district.
Ooh, that's one of the main questions that come up, especially when I agree when it comes to buying a home.
All right. And some of us that got old, and we still paying for school district where our kids are 60 years old.
This is like one of the things that's going to be taken out regardless as a taxpayer.
All right, now there's an issue going on right now. Dismantling the education department and putting it back in the hands of certain people. Understand something. If you go back to this topic, Chris, it has to do with responsibility. And that's where I want to point it at. I get it. Yeah. Chris, I'm too old to understand. So old that I remember when you couldn't go to school with short payments on it.
Ooh! But hey, keep in mind, he's only 28 years old. Back over to 28.
28! 28 in count. So,
Man.
I take my hat off to those in the industry and the profession. I get it. There's a great responsibility that lies left and right.
Everybody has their hands into the pot of responsibility. I use that as a metaphor.
So, Chris, I throw you on the spot. It's called in the media business a gotcha question. You understand this industry better than some of us on these different shows. Is there a responsibility on the student more than the principal and the teacher? And not only that, Lil Ray Ray and Pookie and Mary, students should have said, sit down, Ray Ray. I don't do that.
It's a different time.
It's like you taking, now you call it a number?
Yeah, they changed it.
No, you say it's a number.
Yeah, I mean, every school is different. Some got numbers and some got letters.
Well, then the lady said, well, that's a prism number.
I'm not about to go there. I'll say this and then we go to our surprise topic. I honestly feel who has the most heaviest responsibility in this is the parents and the admin. Both didn't do their part responsibly as they should. If the parents would have did their job, and yeah, I put them on a spotlight as a parent, that child would be like, I know I better not act like this because my mom or dad is gonna come into school and pretty much pull me a whole new leg for acting up. And then the admin, the teacher, and all that should have did their part to pretty much stop or resolve this. And the way that the principal reacted, I get it, to put spotlight because it needs to be out there, but not like this. And that pretty much read into the controversy, what made this whole thing viral.
Well, in the conclusion of this time, I do have a lot of different opinions about this situation as it comes to responsibility and who would lie. But then in the emergency situation, a privilege that is afforded to a lot of these students has been definitely violated. If you got a hall pass, a number to go do a certain issue and a time limit.
And they go into the cafeteria instead of the restroom.
Well, who else abused that privilege? The teachers have a responsibility to the students, and the students have a responsibility to the teacher. As well as the principal.
Say it as it is. Now, are y'all ready for this surprise topic? It hit pretty hard not too long ago. But oof, I know you're going to have something heavy to say about this. So let me bring it up to the screen. We are talking about Trump. And what's getting on to a lot of people's attention when Trump openly pushes for the resegregation and the latest ban reversal. I'll play a little bit of this clip, and then when we get your comments, Baker, and then we'll end the show off. All right, let's go ahead and get this going.
Trump administration making segregated facilities no longer banned. Let's put it up full mass. MAGA. After recent change by the Trump administration, the federal government no longer explicitly prohibits contractors from having segregated restaurants, waiting rooms, and drinking fountains. I will explain. The segregation clause is one of several identified in a public memo issued by the General Services Administration, GSA, last month, affecting all civil federal agencies. The memo explains that it is making changes prompted by President Trump's executive order on diversity, equity, and inclusion, which repealed an executive order signed by President Lyndon B. Johnson in 1965 regarding federal contractors and non-discrimination. The memo also addresses Trump's executive order on gender identity. There's more. The clause in question is the first in the Federal Acquisition Regulation, known as FAR, a huge document used by agencies to write contracts for anyone providing goods or services to the federal government. The clause is titled Prohibition of Segregation Facilities and reads, quote, the contractor agrees that it does not and will not maintain or provide for its employees any segregated facilities at any of its establishments, and that it does not and will not permit its employees to perform their services at any location under its control where segregated facilities are maintained. Then it defines segregated facilities as work areas, restaurants, drinking fountains, transportation, housing, and more. And it says you cannot segregate based on race, color, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, or national origin. Several federal agencies, including the Department of Defense, Commerce, and Homeland Security, have notified staff who oversee federal contracts that they should start instituting these changes. All right, to be clear, all businesses, those that have government contracts and those that do not, still need to follow federal and state laws, including the Civil Rights Act.
All right. So I'm not going to play the other because the rest is on us for place our opinion. So with that said, what is your viewpoint after seeing that go through?
I think we must understand that you and I was a guest on the show. In my opinion, in reference to the DEI, affirmative action, and all of these programs, understand one thing, Chris. It's a talking point and a liberal opinion of politics, and you have to understand that affirmative action, DEI, and all these other programs today really don't matter to the majority of people of color. Here's why. Most of us ain't never benefited from it.
Yeah.
And not only that, well, it is what it is. Black people segregate themselves with these black-owned businesses. Now, what did the dominant culture give?
Oh, you said a mouthful on that one.
So I don't care for these programs, and I get it, but it doesn't do service to the community. When black people, let me keep it that way. Now, you go buy a house.
Let me get ready. She's ready.
You get to running from certain communities. Most of you on here in certain communities in your city, Baltimore, New York, California, and all these different other popular states and all that in Texas and stuff, you run to the suburbs.
Oh, you fine.
And I'm telling you, the average live 30 minutes from the inner city. And when you're hungry, you ain't trying to stop out and say, okay, I want this colored home or segregated black home. You just hungry. Now, it's a political talking point for the liberals. And some of these programs need to be dismantled, if not rearranged. And there's a level of complexity to that as far as I think. If you vote for me here in the next 4 years as president of the United States, I may let you be vice president. But some of this stuff needs to become changed. And it ain't benefiting us, Chris. It distracts us.
There's been that talks for the longest. Is like a lot of things that's been advertised on mainstream media. It distracts us what the real issue is, and then we get caught up into it. So
When the last time you left from where you had to say, I'm going to pass up all these different restaurants to go to a community filled with nothing but people that look like us, to support them and pay $200 for a hamburger because it's black owned. I know what y'all do. When you could have stopped right there at the
whatever and save your money. Like okay.
It's about saving your money, servicing the community of segregation.
You came with this thing loaded. Lord have mercy. I'm not choosing side, but one thing I think also taken to consider when it comes into like black owned business, I feel like I'm just gonna continue with it, is that the startup expenses or the expenses for resources may be higher than needed, which may cause the business to increase prices. Am I saying that's the case for all of them? No. But we can't lie and say that a lot of small black businesses have the resources in the beginning.
Well, I get it. I understand it. And listen, most people can't beat me at supporting small business and our own. But I tell you, I can't talk too much racket on this one because I service all people.
Right.
I'm not black owned, black bought, basically black taught.
Right.
Now I get hungry. Y'all ain't open in the hood at a certain time.
I'm not about to play with you.
So, Chris, I get the culture, I get the vibes, I get the experience, and at the end of the day, I'm not going to be one who married a culture today of 100% on certain things.
I feel like, let me put my 2 cents on this. I feel like as soon as, and I'm going to be honest with this, as soon as you say I'm a black owned business, I feel like you put your business into a crutch. And the reason why I'm saying that is because in the market today, as soon as you say that, the market looks at you different. It's like you put yourself in a hole. I do get it, culture wise, but in the bigger picture, don't do that to yourself. Because you really are limiting your growth when it comes down to it. Yes, be proud of being a black business, but don't promote it like that. Because this market and competition is fierce. And there's wolves out there. And the last thing you want is a label that's going to have you look differently or not respected with the other competitors. Because here in America is basically whoever has the best product, service, reputation, and all that much more is going to win the majority of the demand for the customers. So don't put the spotlight which can ruin you and make it harder for you to rise up. So yes, you can be a strong black business, but all I'm saying is this: just be strategic and use your mind. Let your actions or product or service show forward, and let them say it's a black owned. But don't you say it in front. Right. Let the demand and your supporters say that for you, as you serve everybody.
Well, the next time you visit in certain communities that's black owned, black ran, black restaurants, and black racism.
Oh, dude, you pulling
Go in and do your research. And you have people from the dominant culture working in those so-called black-owned restaurants that are ran in our community, but the dominant culture is working. And you don't say a word, and I get why. Because Shaniqua ain't going to stand up there all day.
Oh, Lord, not Shaniqua. What you about to say, Baker?
She going to leave. So what I'm trying to say, Chris, these government set aside and programs never, and even with the word never, will not, is not, and will not benefit us today. Because what got most black business, if you want to put it like that, from hard work and no handout through welfare such as DEI, affirmative action program.
All right, so with that said, we have a comment coming from our boy Khaled. When I hear a person say black-owned business to me, it typically means a run janky business and cut corners, and you should put up with it because we are the same race, but should pay me the same as leading competition. Boy, Khaled, you said a mouthful because I see that a lot. Oh man, that'd be pissing me off too. It's like, come on.
I'm not the type to get in my car, go on a date, and run looking for a black-owned restaurant. I'm looking to eat and get out the way.
That pretty much goes for what I just said earlier.
Well, Chris, let me ask you a question. When last time you been to a black-owned club?
Ooh, it's been a... Whew.
Man, you ain't going because you know how we discriminate.
I wouldn't say a club, but I went to a nice lounge, and it was nice.
No, I'm not going to say no lounge. I'm going to say a club, y'all.
Like a black, you talking about...
They represent
I'll be honest, I can't remember the last time I went to... Like, if it was probably like college, if I want to be honest.
My point is the name, the association, identification, and all this. I get the behavior of this culture, Chris. But hard work, to me, always produce great results.
It is what it is.
And I get it, but I don't want to be, well, it is what it is. Don't look, if you want to benefit from these programs, stay at home and get welfare.
No, you didn't just bake it. No,
DEI,
you didn't.
affirmative action, set aside, segregation.
Pulling trigger again.
Now, if you put some money in my pocket, I may start talking like some of y'all dead leaders do, who misled the black community. That's another story. That every time you try to look for success, y'all resurrect dead folks. And this generation don't care about nothing other than this generation and this culture in this century.
Ooh.
Y'all go to getting up dead folks with speeches that was politically driven by the culture at that time. And all these old black politicians and white liberals who stand up and holler they supporting our community. Now you need to go out and vote and listen to these politicians. You don't see them, liberal, black, white, in your community after the election. Most of them don't know there's an election going right now. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. It is what it is. And we got to continue this again. It's been a blessing.
You know what? On that note, I'm just going to go ahead and end the show with that. But you know what? I'm going to do my traditional question, and I already know we're going to lead with this as we get this music rolling. Let's see. As we end this episode, Baker, where can they find you?
You know where I'm at. Y'all know where I'm at. You can find me at 9 in my business.
As always, if you want to find Baker, you can find him. I'm going to tell Terrell to make you a shirt. Where can we find Baker? Mind my business.
Mind my business.
We got to tell him that. All right, it's been good as always. You know, we always bring in the topics that you love to hear, afraid to talk about. The street topics can be live and raw. I hope you enjoyed this, but keep the comments, comment, discussions, and much more because it's all about the people making the audience in the show because the voice of the people shall be heard, or they be saying the revolutionaries trying to write you down.
You, man. This is good.
Appreciate it. But make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube and Much More Soul Productions or my social media handles as you can see it on the screen. But yeah, keep things going, keep sharing. Until next time, I'll leave you with this right here. Are you going to continue to let others control your life, or are you going to take the steering wheel by the hand and control it yourself? Think about that. Other than
Wow.
that, peace out till next time.
Blessings.